The interviews and discussions on this podcast are opinions only and not financial or investment advice. Listeners should obtain independent advice based on their own circumstances before making any financial decisions. Welcome to this edition of Stockhead's Rock Yarn. I'm your host, Peter Strachan. Over the past 3 years, the list of ASX companies with interests in rare earth element exploration and development has jumped from 8 to over 60. This action followed a rising price for rare earths used in permanent magnets, mobile equipment, as well as wind power generators, electric motors, and aviation guidance systems. This was from mid-2020. However, since early 22, rare earth prices have been in retreat. To assist us in understanding where the market for rare earth elements might move in coming years and outline plans to develop the massive Makuutu rare earth project in Uganda, along with its downstream magnet recycling business, we're delighted to welcome back Tim Harrison, who is the Managing Director of Ionic Rare Earths. Welcome, Tim. Tim, Ionic is a new executive chair. Can you tell us about the appointment of Brett Lynch?
Hi, Peter. Good to be back. Thrilled to bring Brett Lynch on board, or have Brett join us at Ionic Rare Earths. Brett's had proven successes with Sayona Mining. He comes to us, full of enthusiasm, I think, for certainly what we've been doing with Ionic Rare Earths, and the opportunity in the rare earth market, given the potential for the development of, magnet and heavy rare earths into the Western supply chain. So, tremendously excited to have Brett on board now, and looking to really sort of get motoring on a few fronts now.
And he's putting his own hard-earned cash into the company, which is always a good sign to buy shares. So that shows real intent there. So now, looking at the Makuutu rare earth project, can you update us on the significant receipt of Ugandan mining approvals just recently and what that means for the project?
Yeah, so we've been working through this process now with the Ugandan government for probably a little bit longer than we would have liked, to be honest. But, it's the first large-scale mining license to be awarded in Uganda under the revised Mining Act of 2022. So, being a new act, the regulations had to be updated, and there's a few new processes that have had to be followed in country. So we've worked closely with the Ugandan government. We've had the award of the large-scale mining license and the sign-off of the documentation now all completed in Uganda. And with that large-scale mining license, we're one of only, there's not too many projects globally now that have mining licenses that are, ready to move forward towards delivery of heavy rare earth capacity for new supply chains. So with that license, we'll be able to progress a number of strategic partner discussions that have been a little bit on hold while we wait for the formal award of those licenses. So the moment that's come through, we've been able to kickstart those discussions off with a number of different parties.
So that puts you at the top of the queue. You've also been working since we spoke early last year on the process demonstration plant. Are there any updates on the metallurgical processing outcomes you can report?
Yeah, so we're in the process now of preparing samples for the operation of the first stage of the demonstration plant. So the demonstration plant will include heap leach columns and cribs, and that will help to define some of the scale-up test work in metallurgy, metallurgical results, which will flow through to an updated feasibility study. So we will also start the production of mixed rare earth carbonate from the demonstration in Makuutu this quarter. And again, the samples from that demonstration plant, will be sent off to a number of those potential strategic partners. As yet, we don't have any new data on the metallurgy, but we expect that information will start to flow later this quarter and through the second quarter. And then as part of the second phase or the second stage of the demonstration plant, we're looking to scale up, the process, to scale up the test work with demonstration desorption heaps, which again helps us to get a high degree of confidence around the inputs to a commercial decision on the project.
Yeah, so you did a DFS early last year, and it's been about 10 or 11 months. What are the key estimated physical and financial deliverables from the project?
Yeah, so the intent is to develop Makuutu in a staged approach. That staged approach enables us to bring product to market, mixed rare earth carbonate, and to be able to scale that asset up as the processing capacity is expanded in those Western geographies. The intent initially with the first stage is to produce around 1,300 to 1,400 tonnes of REO equivalent product as a value-added mixed rare earth carbonate. That carbonate will be about 71% magnet plus heavy rare earths. So it's a very high proportion of the real payable rare earths, and it's that basket quality that's obviously attracted a number of potential strategics to look very, very closely at the project and access to the product. Capital investment, the feasibility study identified a capital of around $121 million US. And we had a post-tax NPV of about $278 million US. So I think the IRR was around about 30%. So I think we've defined a path forward. It's now a matter of de-risking the project through production of product, and with that product being able to now move forward on the strategic partnering and offtake from the project.
Yeah, so how have rare earth prices moved against your initial forecasts?
Yeah, look, it's fair to say that there's been a significant pullback in rare earth pricing over the last 18 months. We saw the peaks of rare earth pricing early last year and a gradual decline. Significantly, it seems to have really dropped away over the course of the last probably 2 months. At this time of year, you'd typically expect certainly the magnet rare earths to see a significant increase in price as part of a stocking process leading into the Chinese New Year. We're not seeing that this year. In fact, we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing a consistent decline in rare earth pricing, which is certainly against the grain if you look at historical behaviour in the rare earth market. And so hopefully we do see a recovery in rare earth prices soon. However, the long-term forecasts remain certainly as bullish as they were certainly 12 to 18 months ago, expecting substantial increase in certainly the magnet rare earths, and to some degree an increase in also the heavy rare earth pricing from the end of this decade and beyond.
I think that's right, and certainly the commentary coming out of Linus for their last December quarterly showed that the prices had fallen there, and sort of a bit strange. I think it's a bit of an aberrant market, and I think you've pointed to that as well. So I think we'll watch how prices. Luckily, you're not producing at the moment, so we'll watch how prices develop through this year. I think you're right that the generally the outlook going forward is pretty positive for rare earths because they're used in all those critical applications. Can you just update the status of the exploration target and mineral resource estimate update that you have? Because it seems that the project is certainly not resource constrained. Shall we put it that way?
No, that's right. The second half of last year, we completed a drill program, the Phase 5 drill program. The first part of that was reconnaissance drilling on our eastern target and northwestern tenement. As you mentioned, we've certainly got a very large resource and already defined 20 or 37 kilometres of mineralisation. The reconnaissance drilling was very successful, and that's going to flow into an updated exploration target, which we're aiming to have completed this quarter. That exploration target will help inform the company on where we need to prioritise drilling as we look at a scaled out approach for the project. Certainly part of the appeal of Makuutu is that large scale capacity and the ability to develop multiple modules to bring more capacity online to meet demand. So we anticipate having that exploration target updated, which will inform that next phase of drilling. And then on the mineral resource estimate update, we've still got a couple of tranches of assays, I think, to report. Once that data's in, we'll be able to update the mineral resource estimate, specifically on our most western tenement, which will be the area for the next proposed area for a mining license application. So that mineral resource estimate will fold directly into the next ML application.
Yeah, and Tim, you've also said that you've come up with some sort of higher grade zones, which might be a good target for initial drilling to get that higher grade, lower cost production starting up.
Yeah, look, I think one of the attributes and what we have seen is, the weathering profile of ionic adsorption clays can be quite variable. Certainly in the eastern zones and that western target, we have seen areas of very favourable metallurgical response. And so it's a matter now of being able to work through that drill program, additional test work, and then folding that data back into updated mine plans, which then informs us on how best to develop Makuutu to not only get the product, but obviously optimize the economic return of the project.
So you spoke about these products that you're producing through the pilot plant. What's the company doing with respect to strategic partner and product offtake discussions?
So lots of calls. Fair to say there's not a morning or evening where we're not talking to someone in other parts of the world. I think, on the back of the products that we'll produce from the demonstration plant, being able to put those products in the hand of not only potential refiners, but also magnet producers who are looking to qualify or understand product quality coming out of projects, so that they can then understand where that material could be processed, how it could be processed. And, we expect that on the back of certainly the products we produce from the demonstration plant, being able to work more, I suppose, accelerated on our ability to work with those strategic partner groups. So bit by bit, ticking off the boxes with the strategic partners to de-risk, obviously, not only their potential to come in and help us develop the project, but from our perspective, from Ionic perspective and from a Renzori perspective, making sure that we commit product to the supply chain with the highest probability of success.
Tim, just turning to Ionic Technologies with its Irish downstream value adding or capture value project that you've got there through the recycling initiatives. What's going on there with that pilot plant?
So where we are right now, we've started 24/7 operations of the demonstration plant at Belfast at Ionic Technologies in Belfast. Sorry. So that the scale of that demonstration plant is designed to run at a rate of about 30 tonnes of magnets as feed per annum to produce 10 tonnes per annum of separated high purity magnet rare earth oxides. We are working through the initial phase of that ramp up process. The team's operating 24/7. They've processed a few tonnes of permanent magnets and working through the process commissioning of the separation or the digestion and separation stages, and planning on starting the production of oxides, rare earth oxides next month. So with that product that we'll produce there, we'll be able to put that in the hands of some of our collaboration partners, plus also look at a few other opportunities that that the team and the business is evaluating in the recycling space.
Yeah, so you're working with a collaboration with Ford and Less Common Metals for the UK rare earth supply chain. What other products, what are the actual products that are going to come out of this demonstration plant?
So the demonstration plant will produce high purity, individually separated magnet rare earth oxides. So the ability to produce neodymium oxide, praseodymium oxide, and NdPr oxide, and dysprosium oxide and terbium oxides. So these are the four magnet rare earth elements that effectively drive the majority of the appetite at the moment in the rare earth space. So we have the ability to produce them at very high purity, which again, I think if you look at the companies that are making those products, certainly listed companies globally, there's only a handful that are doing so, and we're able to demonstrate that at demonstration scale in Belfast, which I think is a tremendous achievement from the team. But producing those high purity oxides that can then go to be converted into the metals and alloys, which Less Common Metals will produce. From there, it'll go to an unnamed European magnet manufacturer, who will then make the magnets to then be handed to Ford to put into the e-drives that they'll be building at their Halewood facility in the UK. And then finally, to complete the circular economy, Ionic Technologies will receive the motors or the e-drives back from Ford, which will enable us to then work on ways in which that material can be recycled and introduced back into our magnet recycling closed loop.
And I guess the location in Belfast is sort of logical because it's in Europe, where a lot of the end demand is for these products.
Yeah, look, the location in Belfast is more a function initially of the fact that the technology was a spin out from Queen's University Belfast. So, the IP, the patents, the intellectual horsepower coming out of Belfast is obviously extremely strong, which means that we've been able to develop and build a really strong team. But beyond that, as we've built, and developed our technical facility there, certainly understanding the opportunities in Belfast and Northern Ireland, we've had tremendous support from certainly the UK government, and now with politics and geopolitics post Brexit, Northern Ireland is included as part of the Windsor framework with the ability to openly and freely trade into the EU. So it as a location, Belfast provides us with dual market access across the UK and Europe. And then finally, the infrastructure in Belfast is tremendous. We have a deep water port at our doorstep, with the capability and demonstrating it right now, not only the deployment of offshore wind, but also the decommissioning of offshore wind turbines, going out and coming back into Belfast, which means that, as a location, we're in prime position to take advantage of that material being brought back to harbour in Belfast, and then positioning ourselves with OEMs to be able to then get access to those magnets for recycling.
Yeah, and so finally, Tim, just to sort of recap, the news flow expected for the first half of 2024.
Yeah, so over the next 5 months, we expect obviously the first production of mixed rare earth carbonate from Makuutu, and on the back of that, being able to progress with a number of potential strategic partnerships, with a view to committing offtake and supply chain engagements. We'll continue to do additional work there at Makuutu to de-risk the project. We anticipate in the near term also an updated exploration target, and then later this quarter an updated mineral resource estimate. And then if we look at Ionic Technologies, we expect to be producing consistently high purity magnet rare earth oxides over the next 4 to 5 weeks, and then being able to put those in the hands of supply chain partners. And we're also underway with a feasibility study for a commercial plant in Belfast. So, yeah, we do anticipate quite a few milestones to continue to be ticked off over the next 6 months.
Sounds like you're going to be busy for the rest of the year, Tim, with that. Once you've got those things underway, then you'll be back to them with the financing and the further offtake agreement. So thanks for coming into Stockhead today to our rock yarn, and we'll look forward to talking with you again later in the year.
Thank you, Peter.